What's up, you guys? Steve with Magic Meadow Money. Today's discussion is on budget decks and how they're not so friendly on your wallet. Budget decks can be a lot of fun, they can be goofy, they can provide for some exciting game experience, but you know what they don't do? Save you any money in the long run. I'm not against budget decks. There's nothing wrong with budget decks, just like there's nothing wrong with hitting subscribe and joining the Wolf Pack. The problem with budget decks is that you buy all these little cheap cards, and all those little purchases prevent you from saving your money and buying real, powerful, impactful cards that you can actually use in your collection over and over again for years to come. Beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. Benjamin Franklin said that, and you don't get your face on the $100 bill unless you know a thing or two about money. And that's what we're talking about here. These small little expenses really add up and prevent you from getting ahead and building a collection with powerful cards. Let's go with an example. Let's say you have a weekly tournament at your local game store. It's like a $10 modern tournament, right? It's just your local win-a-box. And let's say you decide to build a budget deck because you don't have the right money or the funds right now, or your budget's being used elsewhere, whatever the reason is. You decide, I want to do a budget deck. Maybe you just want to have fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just so be aware, these are costly. So you could need $30 worth of cards, right? You need a play set of this $5 card and a play set of this $2 card and whatever. It ends up being like $30 that you need. Well, if it's $10 to enter your tournament and you go with this deck and you bring it and you play for this week and it's fun, it surprises everyone. Maybe you play with it the next week, maybe even a third week. But by then, the gig is up. Like, the gag is over. It's probably not as fun to play with that deck anymore. You realize, I got people the first time and now I'm just losing a bunch, which is fine. Everyone loses, but these decks are naturally going to have a higher lose rate than the more powerful decks, obviously. There is a little bit of pay to win in Magic, right? And Constructed, we know that. So when you spend $30 and you only get 3 tournaments out of it, you had to spend that $30. You spent $10 each week just on your cards alone that realistically are just going to then go into a box, and maybe you put them in a commander deck or something like that. You get some other usage out of the cards, but realistically the reason you bought them was to play them in your local weekly modern tournament, and it costs you $10 per week to play with those specific cards. Now on the flip side, let's say you decide to actually just you eat the cost, you suck it up, and you spend you buy a play set of like Tarmogoyfs back in the day, or like today Ragavans, whatever, a $70, $75 card. We'll just say you end up spending like $300 on cards that you need in order to play a deck, right? So that $300, you're literally spending 10 times the amount of money that you're spending on budget Magic, right? So that budget deck seems so much better. You're like, oh, it's a tenth of the price and the $300 I need for this deck that I'm missing the cards for that deck. But, I bought my playset of Tarmogoyfs like 5-6 years ago, and yeah, they were $75 at the time, which was, at the time, record lows, like the lowest they had been in years compared to, your $200, $150 Tarmogoyfs after getting reprinted several times. Finally brought the cost down to $75. I know they're like 30 now, but it is what it is. I've gotten so much mileage out of those Tarmogoyfs. I've been able to play with them so many times, and that's the difference here. Like, you're buying cards that, hey, you spent $300 on a card, but you can go to that weekly tournament every week for 5 years. If you're going to this weekly tournament for 5-6 years, you're at 300 tournaments. There's 52 weeks in a year. You take a couple weeks off, whatever, right? You're looking at 300 weekly tournaments. You're at $1 a tournament, right, for that $300 card, right? Every tournament where you play those cards, you're getting more and more mileage and more value out of them, more playing time, more matches played with those cards. And that's a way better metric to use than just raw dollar amount that you spent on the cards. Not to mention the fact that it's not like a 6-year time limit. Like Tarmogoyfs, Ragavans, Snapcaster Mages, there are just certain powerful cards, fetch lands, that are just going to be good forever. They're just at that power level where it's like, these are powerful cards, the way the game works. Unless they start printing Moxes and Black Lotuses and making those legal, which is never going to happen, the way the game is designed, these cards will always be powerful. Now your meta game will shift, and sometimes it'll be good to register your Tarmogoyfs, and sometimes it'll be bad to register Tarmogoyfs. Same thing with Snapcaster Mage, Cryptic Commands, you get it. But the point is, they're at the power level that they'll always see play. They'll always have a place in Modern to be played. So not only can you get really perpetual life out of these cards, and you can just play these cards more or less until the end of time, right, until Magic stops being a game anymore, but you also can realistically have a better shot at going to bigger tournaments, going to Grand Prix, back when those were a thing, and maybe they'll be back, or going to your local 1Ks that have the $30, $40, $50 buy-ins. They're a lot bigger but have the bigger prize pool. You're not going to want to do that with a budget deck. You're just going to go and you're going to get trashed, and maybe you win a round, maybe 2 rounds, but then by the 5th round, you're 2 and 3 at best, and you have no chance for prize money or anything like that. And I know that there's more to playing Magic than just winning. I'm well aware of that. But Magic is an expensive hobby, and we have to be careful with our purchases to make sure we're getting a lot of mileage out of the cards that we buy. The overall purpose of this video is to shift your perspective from raw dollar amount that you spend on cards versus the dollar per match that you get out of those cards, right? How many matches can you play out of the dollars you spend? So you spend 30 bucks and you get 3 tournaments, you get 9 matches. It's just not that much money for $30 as opposed to $300 that you can play for years and years and years and continuously get a lot of mileage and a lot of game experience, a lot of hours of fun per dollar that you spend. We're going to wrap up this video to really drive this point home that the better metric to use is not the raw dollar spent, but the amount of use you get out of something when you spend money on it. When I went to my mom's wedding recently, she was getting remarried, we're going to celebrate, and I walk in, and lo and behold, I'm 45 minutes away from my house, we drive in, I'm walking into the church, and the priest literally just says, Stephen, I grew up, I know him from my childhood, you have a big hole in your pants. What are you talking about? Yeah, my black pants, big old rip down the back. I don't know where this rip came from. Maybe it came from when I sat in the car. I don't know. It doesn't matter where the rip came from. I'm at the wedding and my pants are ripped. Well, that's a bummer. Whatever. We try to get through it. I try to make sure that I'm keeping my back to the wall and I'm shuffling around, making sure no many people are behind me. I get through the wedding. Plenty of people saw my underwears. It is what it is. But here's the real problem. I just bought these pants last Black Friday of 2020. And I got them on sale. I got them 2 pairs for 75 bucks or whatever. So, I got them for like $40. The problem is that I wore them throughout the winter a little bit, and then, it's summertime, it's hot, and I wore a lot of sweats. It was 2020, we didn't leave in the house, and in the summertime it's too hot, I'm wearing shorts. So then I probably wore these pants literally 10 times. So these, I got a deal, I got a sale, I was stoked. I got some, $40 pants that are decent quality. But I only got to wear them 10 times. That's I had to pay $4 every single time I wore my pants. That's not that great. So now I had to suck it up and say, all right, I'm going to buy some nicer pants. And I did get a good, I got a good deal on them, don't get me wrong. But now I bought some really high quality, nice and stretchy pants. So that way I can squat down and bend and not rip them in half. If I can wear these pants, let's say they cost $100. They were less than that. But we'll just say round numbers, they were $100. Well, I'm definitely going to be able to wear them more than 25 times. And 25 times 4, that's 100, right? So that $4 price point per wear, terrible metric. I'm going to be able to wear these at least 100 times, hopefully 200 times. So that way I'm only paying a few pennies, compared to $4. I'm only paying a few pennies every time I wear them. So let my embarrassment of having a big old rip in my pants at my mom's wedding be a lesson to us all about making sure we're shifting our metric, we're using better metrics than raw dollar amount, and we're understanding that when we buy something, we want to make sure we're going to get a lot of use out of it. Hope you liked today's video. If you did, like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. But we're going to end with our meta lyrics of the day. I'm seeing clear, I'm leaving fear for the first time in my life. We'll see you next time.